Dear students, welcome to this course on Managerial Economics. This course is laid out in 15 weeks. You are supposed to cover all the study material, the content and the exercises, the assignments given to you during these 15 weeks. Dear students, this course has been developed specially for students with a management background, that is, students of commerce, management, business studies, and so on. Therefore, it is important first to understand what managerial economics is about. Economics, of course, we all know, is a science which tells us about resource allocation and efficiency, that is, how limited resources are efficiently allocated for different uses, for unlimited uses and wants. But if this same definition is to be made more relevant for management students, as I have already explained, then we would have another variant of economics which is called managerial economics. That is, managerial economics is a perspective about the economic fundamentals and the economic tools of analysis which are applicable to the decision making process that is undertaken by managers in a given environment with certain constraints. So, this broadly is what we would call managerial economics. The course, as I said, has been parceled into 15 weeks. In each week, we have a few concepts, 3 or 4 concepts, or you could call them modules, which are put together. In the first week, we shall be talking about the objectives of the firm. By now, you would be clear that managerial economics essentially is the arising out of firm theory. So, therefore, the first question is, what are the objectives of the firm? Concepts and principles of economics, basic concepts and principles of economics are necessary to learn right at the beginning. Such concepts like the marginal principle. So, we will be studying such basic fundamentals in the first week. In the second week, we move on to a major and a very popular topic which all of you must be familiar with, that is demand. And in demand, it is when we talk about managerial economics, it is not just the theory of demand, but it is also important, it is equally important for managers to know about measurement of demand. Therefore, we will be talking about not just the law of demand, the theory of consumer behavior, but we would also be talking about elasticity of demand and about how elasticity is used in managerial decisions. In the third week, we move on to some of the traditional theories of demand, of utility, which we call cardinal utility approach or the ordinal utility approach. These two theories can be dubbed as the Marshallian approach and the Hicksian approach, that is the ordinary demand curve and the indifference curve analysis. In the fourth week, we will be dealing with revealed preference approach and the demand for consumer durables, which is the theory of attributes, also demand forecasting. All of these topics put together could be called new demand theory. In the fifth week, we would be going on to the production and cost dimensions of managerial economics. First of all, the theory of production. The theory of production is based on the law of diminishing returns or the law of variable proportions, and accordingly the short run cost curves, and then we would learn about returns to scale, that is economies and diseconomies, and then from there we will move on to the long run cost curves. You would understand that the cost curves are the dual of the production function. In the sixth week, we will then be talking about, we will learn about producers' equilibrium through isoquants of production. Also, we will be studying the market forms and equilibrium, particularly under the most popular market form being perfect competition. In week 7, we will understand the key concept of pricing under monopolistic competition, pricing under oligopoly, and pricing under monopoly. Collectively, these are the non-competitive markets. In the 8th week, we will, you as students would be given a week for revision and assessment. In this 8th week, you are supposed to revise whatever you have studied in the past 7 weeks, and then you are also supposed to submit your assignments in time. Please note that the marks that you get in these assignments would count towards your grades, and this is known as summative assessment. In the 9th week, we shall focus on pricing practices, multi-product pricing, price discrimination. So here the emphasis is on pricing policies and practices, and this is something very relevant for managers. In the 10th week, we would get to know about international pricing, which is a different cup of tea. In the next, we move on to another dimension, another aspect of managerial economics. So, managerial economics consists of microeconomics and macroeconomics. Along with macroeconomics, there are certain practical aspects of macroeconomics which appear in the real world, and this is known as business cycles. So, we will be studying in the 11th and 12th week the basics of macroeconomics and business cycles. In the 11th week, particularly, the most important and basic concept is that of national income determination. Further, we will be studying aggregate demand and aggregate supply, and how different markets which you will be studying about, money market, product market, labor market, and so on, how these different markets are integrated with each other. In the 12th week, we then move on to theories of business cycle. Since there are many theories, they have been put into two parts: business cycle theory 1 and business cycle theory 2. In the 13th week, we would devote our study to inflation, various aspects of inflation, the effects of inflation, and in the 14th week there is a very specific and pertinent theory which is called demand pull and cost push inflation. And along with this, there is an empirical phenomenon which sees a relationship between inflation and unemployment. The 15th week, the last week, will be a week of self-study where in this week you are supposed to revise the entire course that you have learnt during the past 15 weeks. So, don't get nervous or feel worried. The best way to get over your nervousness is to study, is to read, is to spend time, is to enjoy what you have to read, the study material that you have got. So, dear students, I am very confident that this course will equip you with adequate knowledge about different concepts of managerial economics. After completion of this course, there will be a proctored examination about which you will be notified in due course, and students, you will find this course, I can assure you, very interesting, very relevant, very practical. Please go through the entire e-content, which includes not just the e-text but self-learn videos, various other activities, add-ons, assignments and so on. You have to do it with full sincerity. I am confident that after going through the course material, you would have a great learning, a great experience, and therefore I wish you all the best.